How's everyone doing today? I'm Sean Hsieh. I am the co-founder and also the chief product officer of a company called Flowroute. We're based in Seattle and we're a nationwide carrier. We call ourselves a virtual carrier. The way we operate is a little bit different than most of the providers out there today. Um, this is probably like my fifth or sixth ClueCon. I've kind of lost count over the years now. But we're going to be talking a little bit about messaging today. And I have one of our developers, one of my team members here. He's in the back over there. He's going to be jumping on stage to do a demo at the end. So we're going to talk about how to make SMS work for you today. But before we kind of get into that, I want to talk a little bit about just like growth of messaging. So according to Juniper Research, in 2012, we had about 14.7 trillion messages that were sent. So this statistic here includes OTT messaging, SMS, MMS, all kinds of messaging. And so the projections around 2017 is that it's going to rise to around 28.2 trillion messages. So that's a lot of volume of messages that will be sent. The cool thing is with SMS, 99% of all SMSs are read. And 90% of those are actually read within the first 3 minutes. So I don't know about you, but I kind of shy away from phone calls, especially when I get a caller ID that I don't recognize or it says no caller ID. I'll usually let that go to voicemail. But with SMSs, I'm kind of like, I'm interested. There's something about it that makes me want to go, yeah, I'll click, it's fine. It's something that I can look at and it's async, so it's all right. So with messaging, the market's kind of changed over the last decade or so. When messaging first came out, it was all around sending messages to each other on the mobile network, so it's classified as P2P. And then we had the introduction of shortcodes. Many of us are using shortcodes today, and that's more of the A2P sort of messaging categorization. And now it's changed a little bit where we have a new classification called EDP. So it's around enterprises and it's around using wireline numbers, the existing long codes that we have, along with toll-free numbers. So now toll-frees can also be text-enabled. So there's been a lot of movement in the space, particularly around CPaaS organizations. So for example, Better Voice was acquired by IntelliQuint earlier this year. Nexmo was acquired by Vonage. And as all of us probably know, Twilio went public this year. So what does that really mean for us today in terms of actually using SMS? For all of us here that are actually using FreeSwitch. William King wrote a nice little module for us, so it's mod SMS Flowroute. If you go to that link right now, you can actually get to his blog article that talks about how to get this thing installed and set up and everything like that. But I'm just going to walk us through a very simple flow around how that works with Flowroute. So let's say this is your existing setup. You have an account with Flowroute. You also have your FreeSwitch stack, and then you also have a client like perhaps on your mobile phone or something like that. So when the SMS comes in, we send it to a webhook, and that webhook is, in this case, configured with mod SMS Flowroute. And from there, it's passed over to mod SMS, and then it hits a chat plan. So that chat plan allows you to kind of really configure how you want the routing of this message, whether you want to do something like an autoresponder or actually kick it out to a device. You have a lot of control there. So in this model here, we'll send the text all the way to the end device, and if you want to send something back, it kind of works the same way, it's just flipped. So at Flowroute, we've actually had the opportunity to work with a lot of customers over the past few years with messaging, and we started to notice that there was a lot of use cases that were turning into trends, things that a lot of companies were just looking to kind of incorporate it, whether it's in their service offering or what they were trying to do to create a really unique user experience. So we'll dive into a few of these. One of the ones that we see all the time is multi-factor authentication. So many of us here probably have two-factor auth set up for our logins. But you can do that with SMS, and it's just another mode. It's another channel for authentication or even authorization. And we're seeing a lot of this done with the financial industry. You also Google for single sign-on and things like that. We have reminders as well, and this is around the concept of notifications. So we've noticed that some of our customers that are focused on specific verticals will actually send a lot of these. They're appointment reminders, and they're just kind of they're helpful. So if you have something scheduled out, a few months in advance, you can kind of shoot an SMS now, And then as it gets a little bit closer to the event, you could shoot it the same week and then also set it up so it goes same day. So we do see this for transactions and also appointment reminders. So for example, if you're ordering food, you would get notifications around, hey, your order is here, we'd like you to come pick it up. Or something inside of a health vertical or even healthcare itself, you would get appointment reminders. So this is a real fun one. This is called identity masking. There's many terms for this. I think some of the other phrases you may have heard are SMS proxying or maintaining anonymity through texting itself. And the providers that are using this are marketplace providers typically, and so you have organizations like Uber, Airbnb, Lyft doing this. I don't know how many of you have taken Ubers. I take it all the time. It's pretty awesome. So if you have taken one of these ride-sharing apps or use any of these marketplaces, you'll probably notice that there's a way for you to actually call your driver or text your driver. That phone number that is displayed in the application or the one that you're using is actually not the real phone number. And so the driver also gets something similar on their end. It's a phone number that represents you as a unique person inside of that marketplace, but doesn't give away any of your personal information. So the application for this is fantastic with like dating applications or any sort of marketplace where you want to maintain anonymity across the board. So with that, we actually released a few Docker containers this past week. If you go to developer.flowroute.com, we have a lot of examples around how you could use some of these use cases that I just presented and how you kind of get this all set up just to prototype it out for your own organization. Casey's going to come up here and walk us through a quick demo around the identity masking. It's something that he got to work on the team and build out. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to hand it over to Casey.
So we're just going to run through this. I've got an IPython notebook also on our GitHub page. So if it wasn't clear, these are open source projects. We've got some that are the multi-factor auth. That's a single container. Goes all the way up to the appointment reminder is like kind of the more complicated example in terms of doing an effective Docker compose and setting some volumes so that the containers can talk to each other. We're just going to run through this really quickly. I'm using Amazon's container service. We really like that, so I'm going to just not really talk about how you'd implement that, but I'm just going to show you what we have here. So I've got this task definition right here. I've got 6 versions. Passing in environment variables, I've got this no session message. What happens if you have this proxy number in between and the session's already ended, and of course you want to be able to inform people about that. Organization name, this is going to be the header of the text. So if it's a system message, if it's involving ending a session or starting a session, that's going to show up. So you can see I've got my Flowroute access key here, my secret key. I'm going to rotate that because now you've all seen it, which you can do right here. So just click that button and that'll reset it for you. Good point. Okay. So let's start this up. Go to my cluster. I've got just a micro running here. And I'm going to go to SMS proxy. I'm going to update my service. We're going to add a single task to it. Okay, so this is the box. And you can see that this container just came up 3 seconds ago. So let's see what it's doing. Okay, great. So here's this IPython notebook I was talking about. It's also on GitHub. What's that? So I've got my load balancer here. Got some virtual TNs or DIDs that I have in my Flowroute account. And we're just going to kind of run through very simply. Actually, first I'm going to restart this kernel here. Okay. So we're just going to run through, it's a REST API that controls the sessions, the virtual number pool. So we're just going to kind of just do the basic kind of steps that you'd probably run into when you're building on this to fit it into your application. So I'm going to start at the top. Shift Enter. Quick plug for Jupyter Notebooks. They're really, really cool. So if you haven't used those, I really highly recommend you check it out. Okay, so we're just seeing what sessions that we have active. If we do have any, we're just going to remove them. You can't remove a number that's already in an active session. So that's why we got to do that first. And now we're doing the same thing with the TNs. And we've added my three virtual numbers to the pool. Okay. So actually, let's start from the top. And Sean, can I get you to come up here and give me your number?
Use my phone number?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
because I had Andy's number in there, so.
yeah, just to kind of take one quick step back. So what Casey's doing here is he's actually spinning up that Docker container that we were talking about. This runs as a microservice, and he's created, he's kind of placed a whole bunch of phone numbers that can be used to kind of mask the other person's identity. So I'm going to fill in my phone number here. And we're going to start a session.
Okay, cool. So we've started a session. You can see here's kind of the RESTful interface of the session. We've got a session ID. All these projects, they expose a session ID or a hash ID for all the resources.
So it's kind of hard for everyone to see here, but I just got a message saying your new session has started. Send a message. I think that's actually also there in your JSON response. But we're going to take a look at what it looks like on Casey's end here. So I just got, hey, Sean, and a kissy emoji face. Yeah. It's the way I like to start my conversations with people on our teams. Every morning, wake up, kissy emoji face. Let's get this going.
So Sean can text back. And we're kind of down here in this cave, so I'm sure you've all experienced a little slow.
All right, so that message came back, and I am sending a message to 251-444-0240. So that's the mapped phone number to Casey's endpoint here.
Okay, so let's, this is, we don't really have an expiration on this session, but that's a supported feature. So, in the case of like a ride share, you probably want to do something like an hour or something like that to keep it open. But of course, if we're talking about a dating app or some kind of marketplace like Sean was mentioning earlier, it's kind of an undefined sort of thing. So you can just have no expiration. But you can use the delete interface, the REST delete command to stop the session. So we'll do that.
All right, I got the confirmation around the session ending.
Cool.
So that's it. Would anyone like to give this a spin with their cell phone number? No takers. It looked like William King's pulling out a cell phone here. If anyone's worried about your cell phone number or us using it, we promise we will not be spamming you throughout the day.
Here, you already have my cell phone number, so you're welcome to use it if you want.
Okay.
916.
All right.
Okay. So if you didn't,
I'm not terribly worried about prank calls. I have 100,000 phone lines, so I'll fight back.
You're already masking your own ID.
go again.
916 600 2497.
Okay.
I have a message.
What's the caller ID that you have on your phone over there, Adam?
251 444 0240.
40? Okay. I just bring that up because I think we had three
Yeah.
phone numbers that went to the pool there.
Yeah, true.
And so it's probably just choosing one at random here.
I didn't delete that session that we had. So
Oh, okay.
that's-
Oh, so you're getting the same.
Yeah.
You're in the same session?
Possibly. No, I actually am not getting any text for that, so it seems to be clear.
And I just got another one saying I've got a new session now.
Oh, okay.
Did you start it over again?
Yeah.
Did you just get that now? Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, this stuff is working. You can go to developer.flowroute.com, check out the code, download it, launch it. If you are working with Docker containers, it should be a pretty simple setup with just a Docker Compose. Yeah, I guess, well, that kind of concludes our presentation. Do we have any questions around anything that we talked about up here or any of the code that we've been walking over?
So while you guys are thinking about questions, right after lunch, promptly at 1 o'clock, we will be giving away something awesome, so you don't want to be late coming back from lunch.
Mix up the jar.
If you have any questions about any of the containers, if you want to talk about Docker, you want to talk about AWS, you want to talk about, anything like that, I'll be around. Just come talk to me.
Yeah.
Can you describe some of your experiences in trying to provide a public SMS interface as a provider?
Some of our experiences in terms of providing a public SMS endpoint as a provider. Is there anything specific around that you're interested in?
A lot of providers say it's very difficult and don't go into detail, so it'd be interesting to hear some of the challenges in,
Yeah.
in getting the current implementation out.
Okay. So there's a lot of problems, and we have Plevo's out here, Nexmo's here. I'm sure they've gone through their own sort of sets of challenges, and I mean with Tropo as well, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff. So you just have challenges industry wide. I think especially around the types of messages. The mobile carriers are really sensitive to what's actually being transmitted onto the networks and onto the actual cell phones. So a lot of times, as messages transmit, unlike a phone call that you can actually see, okay, did that actually go through or not? It's kind of difficult with text. So depending on how much transparency you get from the text, like for example, if I'm transmitting something and we're handing it off to AT&T, they could actually just send a DLR back and saying, hey, it's all good, but they could have blocked it on their end. So it doesn't actually make it to the actual handset. So that's one of the problems that we've seen that we try to work around and try to figure out. But it's certainly a challenge when you're working in the E2P space, especially if you're trying to use like long code numbers and you're doing E2P messaging. I think a lot of carriers are sensitive to the fact that you could be sending similar messages with one single phone number to many phone numbers at a higher rate.
Any MMS support in the works?
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely a conversation that we have going on in Flowroute.
Or just a converter that changes images to ASCII art and texts at all?
Oh, totally. That's one of our first projects. Yeah. sending giant messages that are hard to kind of bring back.
Nothing but ASCII art, yeah.
We're going to convert it to emoji art. That's where we're going with it.
Movies will become a series of emoji that match the movie. That would be great. Any other questions? We actually have a Spark room internally called Damn Mobile Carrier Problem, where just we complain about mobile carriers internally, so about SMS specifically.
That's our whole development channel.
Yeah. Well, no, that's what we named our ops channel. So
Oh, okay.
Our ops room is named that.
How do you guys avoid assigning numbers to people that have had previous spam issues and have been blocked by carriers?
Yeah, so we weren't doing anything in particular before, but now that the landscape has really changed, we're taking a pretty hard look in terms of like what a phone number means, the whole life cycle of a phone number, also kind of how you want to treat the history of a phone number as it's kind of being used, because multiple customers, like today, if we're talking about purchasing DIDs, you could purchase a DID, drop it, and then the next day someone else could be picking up that number. And so we are coming up with different concepts around how we could do this, around how we could actually categorize these things, but there's nothing truly concrete yet beyond the fact that this is an issue that we need to solve. Hopefully that answers your question. I didn't know if you had something else in mind with that.
Do the carriers let you know when they've blocked sending messages through that number?
I would love if that were a clear-cut answer. It's different. It changes, and like Adam mentioned earlier, it's pretty much it can be a hit or miss at times, depending on who you're working with. Because like I mentioned earlier too, you might actually get like a handoff receipt or like a DLR, but it might not actually make it through.
Right.
Yeah, and in some regions, up to 30% of our DLRs are delivery uncertain. The carrier can't tell us whether they delivered the message or not.
As an individual end user, is there any way for me to tell if a given number is a proxied number or if it's a real, quote unquote?
As an individual user, I think it really depends on the application. Like for example, if you're using a dating application, I'd hope that they're pretty transparent about that practice. With Uber, I think in the beginning they were trying to mask that fact. They just wanted to seem as real as possible. So it really depends on what you're using and what service it is. If you just got the phone number, it would be really tough to tell. Okay. The whole idea is that you are just talking with that phone number, right? Whether you're doing a voice call or text, that you think that this is the actual phone number for that person.
It sort of leads up to the second question I had. It's kind of a delivery problem. It kind of is, and if you have a number that's SMS enabled, and you're forwarding calls to it, do you have any expectation that you're going to see text forward also, or just that there's going to be no connection between voice and they're just going to exist as separate entities?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the carrier and kind of the setup that you have for the phone number and how you're kind of doing your forwarding. I'd hope that anyone that's doing any sort of forwarding would be doing both the voice and text side.
Okay, well, thank you very much. With that, we
Thanks,
will
everybody.